Councilman Katz.
Here.
There he is. Deputy Mayor Belcher. I think she's about to come in. Deputy Mayor Organ.
Here.
Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 300-2024, sending a copy to the newspaper's official designated for 2025 by way of resolution number 2-2025, filing a copy in the township clerk's office and posting it on the municipal building bulletin board, and the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Welcome to the June 17th, 2025, 8 p.m. open session meeting of the Township of Teaneck. Township Administration present at tonight's meeting are Jacqueline Hashman, our Township Manager, Doug Rucione, our Township Clerk, Kristen Denorci, our Deputy Township Clerk, Scott Salmon, our Township Attorney, Mike Asher, Township Redevelopment Attorney, Mr. Isi Abbasi, our CFO, and Ron Goodman, our Volunteer Cable Master. Upcoming events. For the public's information, we are currently holding a hybrid format meeting. We have people in person and on Zoom. If our Wi-Fi at the municipal building has an issue where the Zoom meeting drops, we'll aim to retrieve the connection and continue the meeting. If you haven't yet signed up for a website updates and township alerts, please do so. The next televised regular council meeting is July 15th, which begins at 6:30 p.m. with public portion beginning at 8 p.m. Our Easy Ride and Teaneck Police Department Street Smart Community Meeting will take place tomorrow night, June 18th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at the Rhoda Center. Our Juneteenth events on Thursday, June 19th will be a silent walk at 8 a.m. from FDU, the MLK Monument to Commander Walk, Burial Ground, a flag raising at Voci Park at 12 p.m. and a Jubilee at the Jubilee at the Rhoda Center at 1 p.m. The AGU community meeting will take place on June 26th. That's Thursday, here from 7 to 9 p.m. That's an explanatory meeting of our new ADU ordinances. And then join us, of course, Friday, July 4th for our parade. More information is on our website and will be going out as well. The council met in closed session to discuss the following: personnel, contracts, affordable housing, elections, legal issues or opinions regarding any items on the open session agenda, litigation updates, and Oprah. And welcome back to Mayor Jackie Cates and Councilman Alan Sohn. I'd also like to just take a moment of silence for Hillel Fold. Hillel Fold was a almost lifetime member, resident of Teaneck and River Road, 29 years old, that was tragically hit and killed by a car in Long Island on this past Friday night. Thank you. And also like to take a moment to best wishes or safe return to some of our residents that are stuck over abroad, specifically Deputy Mayor Ellie Katz, who is joining us on Zoom but is out of the country, and we hope to see you back here soon. And with that, we'll turn to our agenda. And we have two presentations tonight. The first will be our Youth Advisory Board 2025 recognitions. And I'll come down there and we have our representatives here. So Youth Advisory Board, I like to think the Youth Advisory Board, almost like the minor leagues. You come out, you get involved civically, you learn about it, and then you wake up one day and you make the tragic mistake of running for council. But up until that point, it's a great event and it's a great team. They do great stuff, and I'd like to call up our volunteers. So we'll start with Haley Palmer, who's the chairperson of our Youth Advisory Board. And that's the good news. Here's the bad news. You're running the meeting. So continue. You got them open. You got improvise.
Okay. I just want to say thank you for the privilege of being able to give back to my community. I'm a new resident of Teaneck. I've been here for about 3-4 years, and it's treated me very well. I just hope to treat it well too, especially with the little libraries coming to fruition, and I hope to do more in the future. Thank you.
That's for you. Why don't you go to the next call them up?
Oh.
Yeah, you're on it.
Okay. The next member is my vice chair, Kayla Beidelman.
Okay. Thank you very much. You get the next one. Jump right in.
I also want to say thank you for
getting the chance to be a part of my community and actually make a difference. The next person is Liam Fletcher, who isn't here tonight.
And what is his title?
He's a media specialist. The next person is Nessa Bayswitz. She's a sergeant of arms.
Okay.
The next is Rain Crafton, who's a secretary, who also isn't here.
Awesome.
And next is Zahara Khan, who's also isn't here tonight.
Okay, we'll get them out. Okay, thank you very much. Do you guys want to run the meeting while I go home? No, you're good? You're good? Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, guys. Elizabeth? What's your official report? You're gonna give us the age-friendly
sorry.
report.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can I just say a
Oh,
couple
sorry,
words?
yes.
Congratulations, Hallie and Kayla. First of all, thank you for all you do for the community. To watch you grow through the Youth Advisory Board is just so fantastic. And we are just so grateful for everything you do. Bringing the little libraries to life was just the one example of an amazing project that you brought to TNEC. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the future.
I just want to ditto that. I think you guys are doing extraordinary work. I mean, you have such, you are such great leaders, and you are led by such great community leaders as well. And I would just ask that you consider maybe asking some businesses that might be interested in doing the little libraries as well as a possibility. Thank you for all that you do.
First and foremost, congratulations, but also thank you for being involved, and please stay involved, because when I was your age, I remember I used to roll my eyes when people used to say to me, you guys are the future. But the truth is, you guys are going to be the ones that are running this town in 15 years, maybe 10 years, 20 years, whenever it is. So please stay involved and please keep paying it forward. Thank you so much and congratulations.
It was really fun participating with you at the civics event and watching you run it. Last year was great with the AEDs. We waited to see what you were going to do this year, and the little library was great. And can't wait to see what the Youth Advisory Board comes up with next year. They're really such necessary projects. So thank you for them, and thank you for bringing them to us. And good luck with everything that you do going forward.
Okay, with that, we'll turn the microphone over to Elizabeth Davis. If you could give us an introduction to yourself and to your organization. Just, you've been here before, so you know how to do it. Take it over.
Thanks.
I have your presentation.
Okay, so you'll bring that up. Good evening. I'm here tonight with two of my colleagues, Jackie Cates and Colleen Diskin, to share some very good news. Community Begins at Home, an initiative our nonprofit launched 2 years ago to address the needs of older adults with disabilities, has been awarded 2 more years of funding from New Jersey's Inclusive Healthy Communities program. This additional funding from the New Jersey Division of Disability Services of the Department of Human Services is a testament to TNEC's commitment to being a welcoming place for people of all ages and all abilities. We want to extend our thanks to the Township Manager and the Township Council for their endorsement of our IHC application and for their pledge to continuing to work with this initiative, as well as our age-friendly TNEC initiative. For those in the audience who are unfamiliar with the work of our nonprofit, I'll share just a little bit of background. Next slide, please. We've operated Brightside Manor and affordable assisted living residence for 35 years. We've helped develop 2 affordable senior apartment buildings here in TNEC, the Brookdale and 1425 TNEC. We offer free money management services and a variety of informational programs through our senior checks and secure futures programs. We launched Age-Friendly Teaneck almost a decade ago, and Community Begins at Home is an offshoot of that initiative. Next slide, please. Outreach to the often invisible community of older adults aging with a disability is a crucial component to our Community Begins at Home initiative. This is a picture, I have some here, of a postcard we've been disseminating at community events and sharing with our project partners and local physicians' offices to help reach those in our community who may be struggling in silence. Next slide, please. According to U.S. Census numbers, about 1,700 Teaneck residents over age 65 report having one or more disabilities. Some of the challenges they face include safety issues in their homes, increased risk of social isolation, lack of access to resources that could help them remedy those challenges. 4 in 10 U.S. households that include a person with accessibility needs lack accessibility features such as ramps, lifts, safety bars, or entry-level bedrooms or bathrooms. Barriers in the home and in the community can prevent people from fully participating in community life and lead to social isolation, which in turn is a threat to both physical and cognitive health. A study released in 2023 by Department of Human Services reports that up to 45% of individuals reporting a serious disability or chronic illness are socially isolated. Next slide, please. One of the initial steps we've taken with Community Begins at Home was to enlist project partners. From the onset, our most important partnership has been the Township of Teaneck. We've developed a good working relationship with the township manager and department heads. Our events and outreach materials are regularly shared on township communication platforms. And you can see from this slide, next slide. You can see from this slide some of the other service providers and disability advocacy groups we've connected with. An oft-cited motto of the disability justice community is nothing about us without us. So we've prioritized including older adults with disabilities in the design and implementation of this initiative. Next slide. We've also worked to gather information about older adults with disabilities and their family caregivers through a survey, focus groups, home safety assessments, one-on-one visits, and referrals. We've held presentations about this initiative to government groups, local faith organizations, and we've created new informational handouts and added a spotlight on disability resources in each of our monthly age-friendly Teaneck newsletters. We've hosted a home safety expo and connections fair to help educate residents about resources available to address their aging in place challenges. Next slide, please. A goal of this project is to raise consciousness about the health and social challenges of residents aging with disabilities. The first lesson we learned was that many older adults who have aged into having a disability, such as vision loss, hearing loss, and mobility loss, often don't self-identify as having a disability. We've encountered older adults who walked with canes or who had hearing aids, but declined to fill out a survey because they didn't see themselves as having a disability. We've addressed this by changing some of the language we've used in outreach to less stigmatizing language, such as terms like mobility challenges. We've learned that many of these older adults who resist the disability label also lack awareness of benefits and resources available to them, such as assistance paying for hearing aids or getting a ramp or safety bars installed in their homes. We've also discovered that many people who have long head disabilities face new challenges as they age. They too lack knowledge about older adult programs and services that could assist them in aging in place and remaining active in the community. Next slide, please. As we move ahead, we're hoping to recruit Teaneck residents with disabilities to serve as advisors to this initiative and to act as ambassadors for specific disability communities to ensure we include many diverse perspectives. As we've mentioned above, people aging with disabilities can become isolated and cut off from community life, which makes it hard to enlist them in initiatives like ours. We would like to ask the community's assistance in identifying neighbors and older residents who could make the community aware of their experiences or the experiences of those with vision loss, hearing loss, mobility loss, chronic illnesses, and other disabling conditions. And our intent would be to compensate these project ambassadors for their time. We also want to work with township leaders to identify ways to improve the accessibility of community spaces through steps such as ensuring residents always have an option to participate virtually through Zoom or other technologies in important township meetings, as well as in programs and classes at our library and recreation center. Equipping our council chambers, public library, and other meeting spaces with hearing loop systems, technology that will be essential in future years to address rapidly rising rates of hearing loss. The number of people with hearing loss in the U.S. is anticipated to rise from 44 million in 2020 to over 73 million by 2060. This increase corresponds to the expected rise in the population of adults over age 60, the age at which risk of hearing loss sharply increases, bringing with it increased risk of cognitive loss and social isolation. In response to this trend, communities will need to work to normalize use of hearing aids and loop systems. We'd like to partner with the township in an effort to identify grant opportunities or other ways to fund the installation of hearing loop systems, which would be a way for people with hearing aids to seamlessly participate in community functions and meetings. Lastly, we would like to see the TNEC impanel a Disability Justice Advisory Board to make sure the unique perspectives of people with disabilities and their caregivers help shape TNEC's vision for the future as we all work together to build a more welcoming and inclusive community for people of all ages and abilities. We encourage anyone interested in knowing more about our initiative to contact us at the email address on the screen. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear about our Community Begins at Home program. Thank you for your continued support. We look forward to working with you. And I'm going to leave, if it's all right, some of these cards. Please feel free to take one, share it with a neighbor or friend who might be interested in being involved or receiving some of our services. Thank you.
Elizabeth, thank you very much. TNEC has a lot of offerings, everything we offer from pools to parks, but to have an organization like both Age Friendly, like Brightside, we've worked with obviously you guys for decades or since you began the initiative. Of course, Brightside in the various buildings, affordable housing, which is obviously something that you and I have worked significantly on, and the age, everyone's aging, and thank God aging in place and many aging healthy. And what this enables us to do is to make sure they stay healthy, but facing reality when they aren't healthy anymore, that we're there to support them. So people are looking to get involved, and there's many people, what can I do? And if you don't want to coach a Little League team, you can do this. There's so many offerings here. So please step up. Thank you, guys. Okay, we'll jump right into our work session items. Anyone for miscellaneous? And anybody for old business? New business? Communications? And jump into community reports by council liaisons. I believe we have two items, the Township Poet Laureate 2025 Impact Report, which is amazing. Who?
I listed
Sorry,
it.
please go.
So Scott Pleasant actually sent this to us on his own. In 2023, then Mayor Pagan asked Mr. Pleasance to become our first poet laureate, which he did for 2 years. And just last month, we asked him to stay on for another term. His poems have enriched so many of our celebrations and our events. And I keep telling him that each one is my favorite. But my two favorites, I think one or two of which are in here, are the one that he wrote when we planted a tree to honor Dean after he retired, and the one that he read at our reorganization in 2025. He actually wrote this impact report on his own. It's very detailed and told us we can do what we want with it. And so I put it in here just so that the public can see all of his work over the last 2.5 years. And there are some poems in here. Feel free to read them. And we thank him for all of his work, his beautiful poems. I think they're becoming my favorites because I'm starting to appreciate poetry more because of him. Not because each one is improving, but we thank him for taking this on for another 2 years for us.
Okay, 1423 Aspen, do you mind if I pull that? I'm gonna punt on that for now. My community liaison reports are Cedar Lane, the Cedar Lane Management Group, whose budget's coming up tonight. We're almost finished with the printing specs for our vacant storefront trial. And that's where we're hoping to maybe pass an ordinance that we do not no longer allow paper into these vacant storefronts, but a design, Surfside, Florida has this, but we're working on the landscape design. And the library, we needed some information. Did they reach out to you? Basically, we're getting some of old Cedar Lane landscape pictures to put on these sample by the dollar store. And I'll report more on that, but that's what we were working on. We also had a very successful Memorial Day event. I actually think it was one of our best Memorial Day events ever. So thank you for all who worked on it and all who came out. Anybody else on committee reports? Okay. Council listed, Deputy Mayor Belcher and Councilman.
Is this on? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So on behalf of Deputy Mayor and myself, I'd like to read this resolution recognizing Juneteenth. As the mayor already mentioned, we have a plethora of activities on this Thursday to acknowledge Juneteenth. There's a flag raising, there is a silent walk in the morning, and there is also a jubilee at the Rhoda Center at the end of the day. So I'm just going to read this for the record. And I also, before I read it, I just want to say shout out Celine Wong and the Juneteenth committee and our clerk for really working together to put together this amazing day of activities. It was so thoughtful. I know last year we were burning hot outside during the flag raising, and so to do the Jubilee indoors this year was really a clever idea and a way to really celebrate in comfort after we do the outdoor activities. So shout out to Celine and Kwanji as well, who's participating on that committee, and all others who were helped to make that happen. All right, so whereas Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, Emancipation Day, Jubilee Day, and Black Independence Day is a significant annual observance commemorating the emancipation of enslaved African Americans in the United States. And whereas on January 1st, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation declaring that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states were to be set free. However, enforcement of the proclamation relied on the advance of Union troops, and not all enslaved people immediately gained their freedom. And whereas on June 19th, 1865, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, Union Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and issued General Order No. 3 announcing the Civil War had ended and that all enslaved persons were now free, thereby bringing liberation to the last remaining enslaved African Americans in the Confederacy. And whereas Juneteenth has since been celebrated annually to honor this momentous event, evolving from a regional celebration in Texas to a nationwide observance of African American freedom, resilience, and cultural achievements. And whereas Juneteenth serves not only as a celebration of emancipation, but also as a time to reflect on the enduring contributions of African Americans to the nation's history, culture, arts, sciences, and public life, and to recognize the ongoing pursuit of equity and justice. And whereas the Township of Teaneck, a community enriched by its diversity and long-standing commitment to civil rights and social justice, acknowledges the importance of understanding history to build a more inclusive and equitable future. And whereas recognizing Juneteenth in Teaneck encourages meaningful dialogue about the nation's history, fosters cultural awareness, and strengthens the bond of mutual respect, understanding, and unity among all residents. And whereas on June 17th, 2021, Juneteenth was officially designated as a federal holiday, reaffirming its national significance and the importance of recognizing the long and ongoing journey towards racial justice and equality in America. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Teaneck, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, that June 19th shall be recognized annually as Juneteenth Day in the Township of Teaneck. And be it further resolved that the Township of Teaneck encourages all residents to honor and commemorate Juneteenth through community events, educational programs, and acts of reflection and service that celebrate African American history, culture, and contributions, and reaffirm the township's commitment to equity, inclusion, and justice for all. Thank you.
Please.
I make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Second.
All right, clerk, roll call on that one, please.
Councilman Gahn,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Added to consent agenda is resolution 171.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That was excellent. Township manager's report. If there's any, if you'd like to stay from the rest of the meeting, great. If you wanted to go. Just want to give you I want to give you the out, but we're going to jump into the meat of our meeting. So I didn't want you to feel that. Okay.
You could stick around, Mayor Cates.
She knows the agenda. Okay. Yes. You can run for council next year also. Come back. Okay. Thank you. Mrs. Manager, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council and township residents. Friendly reminder to our composters, the BLM mural was rescheduled to be repainted on June 22nd, so the overflow parking lot by the Rhoda Center will be closed. Composters should refrain from drop-offs that weekend because the lot will be closed late afternoon on Friday through Monday morning. To date, our composters have diverted 1,569 pounds of material from landfill. Job well done. In the fall, we will report on a date for the compost give back program so the community can use the soil in their gardens. We will also be preparing for our Juneteenth flag raising event at the Rhoda Center on Thursday, June 19th, starting with a silent walk at 8 a.m., flag raising at 12 noon, and the vote at the Votee Sportsplex, and then a jubilee in the Rhoda Center from 1 to 3 p.m. Please refer to the flyer for additional details. A friendly reminder that township offices will be observing Juneteenth, so township hall offices will be closed on Thursday, June 19th, with the exception of our DPW, police department, and fire department. Pride Month continues in Teaneck with an upcoming event this Saturday, June 21st on Puffin Way at 7 p.m. Featured presentation is David Drumgold's Variety Show. The July 4th parade and festivities are underway, and the flyer is posted for your convenience. If anyone you know is interested in marching, please contact our township clerk via email, clerk@teanecknj.gov. Tuesday, August 5th is National Night Out from 5 to 8 p.m. at Votee Park. The flyer is posted with sign up and additional details. The Motor Vehicle Commission mobile unit will be on site at Township Hall on August 18th. Online appointments will be available 30 days prior for resident sign up. The Teaneck Farmers Market continues on Thursdays through October at Garrison and the Beverly lots. An ADU community meeting is scheduled for June 26th from 7 to 9 p.m. in council chambers for all to attend. This will be an informational meeting to go over the specifics of our ADU ordinance and what this means for our community. We will also be hosting a community meeting on July 30th in reference to the following AINRs: Teaneck Road, Orchard, and West Englewood. A flyer will be posted later this week with additional information. Our little library posts were installed at Votee Park, and the DPW will be assisting with final install this week. The Teaneck Community Pool now has over 1,500 registered members and will be open 7 days a week beginning June 30th. We are in discussions for the pool to be open as early as next week, since we do have a heat wave in the near future. Updates will be posted on social media, and I will also nixle that information. Our splash pad and sprinklers schedule is posted on our website, and we are now opening only the Votee Park splash pad on June 23rd from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and will post details as soon as possible. The bottleneck areas throughout Teaneck We have the police department consulting with the county to make some additional adjustments, and I will continue with some updates. Our grant updates for tonight, the Township and Environmental Commission was awarded the ANJEC grant for Trail Connections in the amount of $1,462, but we may also get up to $3,000 after additional submissions. The township has been awarded $7,000 through the NJ Click It or Ticket Mobilization Grant Program for seatbelt enforcement overtime costs. We are currently preparing applications for the U.S. Department of Justice COPS hiring program. We are also in the process of applying for the NJDOT Local Transportation Projects Fund Grant Program, which will be improvements to Queen Anne Road from the Bogota border to Cedar Lane. We are also applying for the NJDOT Municipal Aid Grant Project for paving improvements to Garrison Avenue from Cedar Lane to the Route 4 Bridge. For some project updates, Herrick Park improvements are just about complete by the end of June. We are also going to complete and pave the parking area this year as opposed to next year. So you will see that done rather quickly. Bike lane improvements, construction and concrete work is starting tomorrow, and the paving is scheduled for August. Argonne Park Tennis Courts, the project has started with a completion date in 4 to 6 weeks. The Andreas Park Pickleball Courts, we had the ribbon cutting event today. They are officially open and everyone seems to be enjoying them. We are exploring some lighting options, which we will update by next meeting. I will be meeting with our township engineer for proposal and to see how we can proceed. The Belle Ave Drainage Project, the bid opening is scheduled for early July, and our 2024 road resurfacing award resolution to DNL paving contractors is on our agenda this evening. The list of streets that are scheduled to be paved will be posted on our website later this week. Sagamore Park improvements, 2 concept plans are being considered by the council, and I will present that concept plan at the July 15th council meeting. Maple Avenue improvements, the bid opening is in early July as well. And our Phelps Park splash pad, we are finalizing the design phase and we will be going out to bid next month. Please remember to sign up for township alerts for important messages. It's the best way to get any important messages about the township. That's all I have for you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Manager. Do we want to do the legal report? Now we're.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yes, Mr. Mayor. So, first thing before we get into it is, we'll come back to this. I'll explain more later. I would just ask the council when it comes time to get to the consent agenda, that you pull, resolution 200-2025, relate to 100 State Street. I'll explain more when we get there, but I just want to note that for the council. With that, I'd like to pass things off to our redevelopment attorney, Mr. Michael Ash, who's sitting down there in the pit, for a report on our affordable housing situation.
Man of the people down here.
That's it.
Yeah. So thank you for having me this evening. Before we proceed with the affordable housing update, Mr. Clerk, do we see Golda McMillan in the audience on Zoom? All right. Way ahead of me. Thank you.
Hey, Golda, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me okay?
You sound perfect.
Okay. And is she able to share her screen?
Wait, I need to give you that access. You see that pretty green button at the bottom of your screen now? Nice.
All right, very good. Again, my name is Michael Ash. I'm an attorney with the firm Carlin Ward Ash and Hyatt. The Township of Teaneck has directed me to assist the township attorney, Mr. Salmon, with the township's obligation to comply with the brand new state statute, the Fair Housing Act, otherwise known as A4 in planning circles. With me tonight on Zoom is the Township Affordable Housing Planner, Golda McMillan from the Topology firm. And together we are going to present an update on Teaneck's compliance with the Fair Housing Act, including the most recent development, which was last night, the planning board adopted an amendment to the master plan, which is a housing element and fair share plan that is a requirement of the Fair Housing Act process, which is on the agenda tonight for the governing body to consider with an endorsement that would allow TNEC to continue the compliance obligation under the FHA and to advance to the next step of that state process. So with that, Golda, take it away.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, everyone on the mayor, deputy mayor's council, and everyone. So, as Michael says, this is the township's round 4 housing element and fair share plan. And last night, the presentation that you see right now was actually presented to the planning board, which was adopted at that meeting. So this is in fact adopted, and really what the role is tonight is for the governing body to endorse it through a resolution. So before I get into the timeline and all the slides, just want to get into the crux of what this 4th round compliance process was, what it looked like, and how it was really different from, the last decade. You may hear me say things like rounds, and what that literally means is every 10 years under Mount Laurel, the state, they'll publish new rounds, and it's a 10-year housing element. And then this begins as we end one now in June from 2015 to 2025. Here we are going from 2025 to 2035 in what is called round 4. So if you hear me use the words round 3, I'm talking about the last 10 years. And if you hear me use the terms round 4, I'm talking about pretty much the end of the month begins the next 10 years. And so what round 4 is, it's a push at the state level. I'll probably let Michael really define any questions around A4, but that is that legislation that recognizes this affordable housing process. And what it was intended to do for this upcoming 10 years was to give more power back to the municipalities and kind of take all this court-oriented process that happened in the last 10 years. That was kind of the idea, but this was a very unprecedented process, and not just TNEC. I've seen it across pretty much the entire state. Definitely the courts are still involved. There's still litigations. There's still appeal periods, things like that nature that still kept courts involved. But to high level explain what the big changes were in A4 in this upcoming round is it abolished what was called COA, which may have been abolished under Chris Christie, maybe reinduced, I'm not really sure, but it's officially abolished now under A4. And what they did is they transferred COA, which stands for the Council of Affordable Housing, the powers to the DCA. And it enabled the DCA to begin calculating all the municipalities' affordable housing obligation, which was given out in a report, I'll say, really not that long ago. This whole process began pretty much October of last year, where DCA, through a certain methodology, formed its obligations for every municipality, including TNEC. And this was a non-binding recommendation. And what the municipalities were tasked to do was in January of this year, adopt either that DCA number or come up with their own number.
Can we go to the timeline slide?
Oh, yes, sorry.
There you go.
Good point. Yes, thank you. So that at that moment when we adopted our resolution in January, that really kicked off this timeline and this process of this year. And you're going to notice this is kind of an aggressive timeline. And this wasn't just, our timeline that we put together. This is really under milestones and benchmarks within A4 and within the state. I call it aggressive benchmarks and timeframes. And it is because since that October release of the obligations and the January adoption, here we are in June, and, within 6 months is the deadline to adopt a housing element, which occurred last night. So what this plan does is it's a plan that is in compliance with the timeline as well as A4. So I will probably let you, Michael, speak more about kind of the real legal things that transpired, you know, especially between January and into April, May, and now. But essentially what this DCA report did was a very high level bird's eye view using different methodologies, GIS, some census data, and they calculated an obligation for every municipality on a bird's eye view. I call it a macro analysis, where satellite data, things that aren't going to be very tailored to Teaneck or some of these other municipalities. And it was kind of the municipality's role to take a look at how they did their analysis and do a report if you would like to readjust the obligations set forth in that DCA report. And that's what we did. Because when we looked at that DCA report back in January, there was, raw land, physical land, but some of this land that they included to help formulate their numbers were really not suitable for what should be in an analysis. It was land that may have had environmental constraints like severe steep slopes. There was cases where they used little slivers of Route 4 and said that this is land that is suitable for affordable housing. There was even properties that just straight up had buildings and parking lots on it, and they took what was like a very tiny patch of green grass and said, hey, this is where affordable housing can go, even though it was within a very much improved parcel. So we adopted our own resolution in January that did adjust that number down. Michael will speak to the numbers specifically. And presented that and adopted. So we complied with that benchmark. And what that did was it opened up in the month of February, objections and a challenge period. Anybody could, file to object to what kind of adjusted obligation, or even if they accepted the obligation, you can challenge it during that period. In March to April, that challenge did occur by the Builders Association. I'm going to let Michael speak about that. And here we are tonight, ready to, endorse the plan as set forth. And then from here begins yet another challenge period where in the summer until August, this plan would be, if not already filed, is about to be filed with what they call the program, which is the dispute. Michael, you probably have the more technical term for it, but essentially the people you file this plan with and anybody can file a dispute with. And post-August, once those legal challenges are concluded, then essentially the plan is officially memorialized and you have until March of 2026 to adopt any final kind of zoning mechanisms that the plan may have suggested. So with that, I'm going to turn to you, Michael, to explain a little bit about the legal things that happened this year.
Sure. And this slide is important because it includes the key dates from the FHA law, from the state law that was adopted about a year ago. And the policy with this legislation was, for most municipalities in New Jersey, the affordable housing process would be uniform and would be on the same time frame throughout municipalities that qualify to participate in this statute. And Teaneck is one of those municipalities. So the dates you see here are applicable to Teaneck's compliance. They are also the same deadlines and dates applicable to most municipalities throughout New Jersey to comply in the same manner. Our objective since the beginning has been to comply with the A4 guidance. As long as Teaneck complied with A4 guidance, Teaneck would maintain immunity from builder's remedy lawsuits. So we would be immune from a developer or a builder running to court, suing us to say you're deficient in your affordable housing obligation, which is a constitutional requirement in New Jersey. And since you are not creating enough opportunities for affordable housing, I'm proposing a project and it's going to look like this, and it's going to be so many stories high, with as many units as I can fit, and there's nothing the town could do about it. So compliance with this process in these timeframes and meeting these deadlines for all these key steps is critical for TNEC to maintain immunity, which we still do. So originally DCA published their number and said TNEC has to have a prospective need or a future obligation for 431 units. After the planner reviewed the DCA data and found certain flaws, omissions, there was a recommendation that the number be reduced to 384. In January of this year, a presentation by Topology was made to the council here in a public meeting, and the governing body resolved to accept the 384 number and to move forward on that basis. So we did, and we went to court and we said our obligation going forward is going to be 384 units. And up until February 28th, any party who is interested in affordable housing could intervene in our lawsuit and object. And that happened. And the New Jersey Builders Association objected and said 384 is not the right number, and you're not, TNEC, you're not accounting for the loss of units across the entire Region 1, of which TNEC is one municipality across multiple counties and a number of different municipalities. Through that process, a retired judge, Judge Bookbinder, had a hearing for the reasons that Judge Bookbinder put on the record. He believed that 431 was the right number, not 384. And we received an order on May 30th directing TNEC to comply with the obligation at 431. That resulted in the publication of this plan that is presented tonight. And that was presented last night to the planning board and adopted by the planning board. This plan is consistent with similar plans that other municipalities will also approve and endorse and submit to DCA as part of this compliance process. The next step, if the governing body endorses this plan, it will be filed with DCA, and that will be TNEC's compliance and TNEC advancing to the next phase of FHA and saying our obligation to provide affordable housing is memorialized in this plan, and we'll get into some of those details. And through the creation of zoning in certain locations throughout town, we anticipate that the opportunity to create 124 affordable units will be based on this plan. That plan it must be filed by June 30th of this year. And then the next period under the FHA from July 1st through August 31st, any third party, any intervener can review TNEC's plan. They can review any municipality's plan. And if there are disagreements, if there is a lack of compliance, if there are gaps, if there is not a clear and specific plan to create the number of units that are required, that third party can challenge the plan, start new litigation, and perhaps it ends with additional affordable housing requirements. The plan that we prepared, the plan approved by the planning board, and the plan you'll hear the details of tonight, seeks to comply with the FHA requirements to the fullest extent. And we have been contacted by property owners, developers who have affirmatively said include my property and my project in your plan. And there are 6 different sites that meet those criteria, and they, in the aggregate, allow us to fully comply with our requirement. And so we'll get into some of those details in the next couple slides. Golda?
Thank you. So I'll discuss this more specifically in some slides. So a term I just want to define for the record. You might hear me say new construction. You might hear me say prospective need obligation. It's essentially that 431 number that we were just referring to. It's defined as a projection of low and moderate housing needs based on development and growth with reasonably likely to occur in the region or municipality. And this is what we define the obligation as. So I already referred to how we did an adjustment in January. I'm going to refer to something called a vacant land adjustment, and it also is an analysis of an adjustment to some obligation, but it's a separate process. So I hope I don't confuse the group here. But essentially, a vacant land adjustment is an analysis that municipalities can do under the rules to review if, based on the obligation, the reality is we might not have enough physical land or suitable land to address that full obligation. So the 431 obligation that was, DCA, the non-binding report that ended up being binding through this litigation process Michael just spoke to. We analyzed the municipality. It's an appendix to this housing element. Many municipalities do it, especially in very urban built up communities such as Bergen County. And what we do is we take the tax cards, we take certain data, and we look at what is considered vacant under the tax records. And of that vacant property, is there further constraints that exist? Maybe sometimes things come up vacant and it's really on your ROSI, your open space inventory, which can't be built on, or things like that. We also look at the rules, which considers that the property in the acreage of unconstrained land needs to be large enough to actually do a multifamily project. And the regulation considers a 6 dwelling units an acre with a 20% set aside to come up with that number. And all this analysis is, it's very complicated, and I can answer very specific questions if anybody has any. But what we do is we look at this analysis, and it comes up with what we call a realistic development potential. And so what a realistic development potential is it's essentially the amount of the obligation that can realistically be provided for right now. That difference is called the unmet need, which is the amount of the obligation that pretty much can't realistically be provided for right now. And those two components make up what is that prospective need obligation once you conduct one of these vacant land adjustments. So what the rules allow for in round 4, that's a bit different right now, is once you get that realistic development potential, there's a caveat in the legislation A4, and that's what you see underlined right here, where any municipality that receives an adjustment, in this case a vacant land adjustment, of its prospective need obligation shall identify sufficient parcels likely to redevelop during the current round to address at least 25% of the prospective need, and they must adopt realistic zoning accordingly. So what your 4th round obligation really kind of becomes in this housing element and in these plans is that RDP number, that realistic development potential, plus that land likely to be redeveloped. That's what the LTR is. And so this is very much a kind of a new process. So what can this, adopting realistic zoning or meeting this 25% realistically look like? They really have to be like bona fide projects, available projects, realistic credits, things like zoning ordinance or redevelopment plans to make it a realistic opportunity to make these projects available. bonus credits, which actually have been restructured pretty significantly under this round. All these things can be considered part of the credits. I was just talking about the bonus credits. They have been restructured under this round. I'll get more specific in a
Yeah,
later.
Golda, let's go to the actual projects and we can walk through those calculations and see the credits.
This is just a high level slide. I'm not sure if I said this yet, but when we did the vacant land adjustment, the RDP was 11. So with that 431, I think you said it, Michael, but yes, this is 105. So to address something called the present need, which is a rehab need obligation, because that is all part of round 4. We intend to continue working with the county in their home improvement program and any kind of funding available in our trust fund to rehab projects. It's an open policy with that, and we will continue with that. So to get into compliance framework, these are the projects we referred to that will help address that likely to redevelopment and the RDP obligation. It's 6 sites identified here, 140 State Street, Cedar Lane, and Legion Drive. I'm not being very specific. I would refer to the block and lots to know exactly the parcels. I'm just kind of giving areas, and I can zoom in on the maps in a moment here. 143 State Street, 827 Teaneck Road, 1387 Hill Street, and 54 West Englewood. So with a combination of low, moderate income set-asides, each one of these projects actually has one of those bonus credits, whether it's near a transit-oriented development, near a bus stop, or some projects are existing commercial that will be, in under this chart, affordable housing, that's considered one of these bonus credits. And so this is a very large matrix, but essentially your low moderate units, your bonus credits. The last column is the total credits that project yields, and the bottom number there meets that obligation. So really the next steps are for this board. So the major step last night with the adoption at the planning board, with tonight's endorsement by Township Council, and to meet the June 30th deadline to submit everything to the program in DCA. And then the summer becomes a challenge period where any interested party with standing is permitted to challenge the housing element. And then come September, it'll be done.
Thanks, Golda.
Thank you very much for that detailed explanation and the long summer ahead. So the challenge period would be if it's someone to challenge us. We're done.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And then we're going to see this as where do we see this?
We're endorsing this plan, which was adopted by planning board last night in the form of resolution 198-2025. It's been on the agenda since Friday.
Thank you very much. Okay, onwards. Sorry.
Are
Go,
we able to
please.
comment?
Absolutely.
All right, so the planning board did vote in favor of this, but it was very difficult to really understand certain components of it. That it involved 6 properties that most people did not understand why they were there or how they got there. And as our attorney explained, apparently these were the owners that came to the city and came to the township and said they wanted these properties included. The issue is that there are a lot of concerns from the community, and we hear those concerns. And I just wanted to go on record as saying that the planning board really struggled with this because of the fact that there were things that were happening extremely fast from the time that the courts basically said they were rejecting the 384 number for the township, and that they wanted us to go to the 431 was May 30th, as the attorney indicated. And we had a finite amount of time to stand up a public hearing for the purpose of having public input and so forth. So we viewed this as, and it is not just a view, but it's a fact, that this is an element or this is an insert into the master plan. It is a document that will live for 10 years. So some of us felt that it is not a compliance document, but it is a housing and affordable housing document. So we felt that it was important to say some specific things that were forward thinking, that 10 years from now, whoever's sitting here on this dais and whoever is sitting at the planning board understood the intent of the document. So I just wanted to give that flavor to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to comment? I thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Belcher, for representing us on the planning board, as well as the mayor's representative, Dallin Green, who is here tonight as well. Thank you. On to public hearing on adoption of ordinances, of which we have none. So we'll move on to authorizing the township clerk to read the 2025 municipal budget by title only, and then we will open up the public hearing on the budget. Mr. Clerk.
Resolution 193-2025, authorizing the township clerk to read the 2025 municipal budget by title only. Is there a first?
Yes, Schwartz.
A second?
Second.
This is just the resolution to authorize me to read the budget by title. So we had a first from Mayor Schwartz, a second from Deputy Mayor Oregon, Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Oregon,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
2025 municipal budget, just the title.
Thank you. Good job. Okay, the public hearing is now open. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. We'll start with everyone in the room first, and then we will go to Zoom. This is specifically and only on the municipal budget. Anybody else? Councilman Zone.
Alan Sohn, former council member. Tonight, your property taxes will be going up 7%, $325 for the average resident. But this is just a start. CFO Isi Abbasi projects increases of 14.4% for next year, 16.7% in 2027. That would mean an average increase of $1,800 for the typical resident. Meanwhile, debt is soaring. $12 million in new debt was authorized last month, and the latest supplemental debt statement says debt is now at $83 million. The budget being adopted tonight, quote, reflects the plans of the governing body, subject to approval, of another $88 million in capital projects. By 2030, debt could be $140 million or more. Whether or not you did or did not vote for Mark Schwartz or for Karen Oregon, your taxes are going up. If you live in the Northeast, no matter who you voted for, your taxes are going up, and you will be bearing the brunt of development, the overwhelming majority of which has and will continue to impact that neighborhood. If you live in West Englewood or Country Club or Phelps Park, your taxes are also going up, no matter who you voted for. And even if you thought your candidate would keep tax increases at zero, the bigger your property, and especially if you had a manicured lawn with some really big signs, your taxes may be going up $8,000, $10,000, or $12,000 a year. New development can help, but it's not enough. With estimates of pilot revenue of $4,000 per unit, it would take 6,000 units to fill the gap, or more than 20 buildings the size of the one on Alfred Avenue. The cannabis operation down the block could bring in $750,000 a year, and another 30 cannabis operations like it would fill a $24 million gap. Mr. Mayor, I've shown you mine. It's time for you to show us yours, your data, that is. All of the information and estimates that I provided are coming from township records, township staff, and other official documents. If there is another plan to fill that $24 million hole, where is it? If build is more than just bull, how much will it bring in? When will the projects be built? Will the thousands of units be equitably distributed across the township? And why will the residents of the Northeast be forced to pay the tax increases and bear the brunt of the burden of thousands of units that would need to be built? There needs to be a reckoning of how to move forward. This year is a warning shot for every single resident and for this council. And we need to find out how we're going to move forward. We need to do a deeper analysis of how we spend money and establish real priorities on a long-term basis, not just on a year-to-year basis. A series of workshops with the auditor and bond counsel are critical. I hope these things happen. I hope this is not caused burden to township residents.
Thank you, Mr. Song. Anybody else in the audience like to speak on the budget? See no hands. Mr. Clerk, what do you have on Zoom?
I have Katie Naylor.
Yes, that is correct. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, you have 3 minutes. Just a reminder, this is solely on the 2025 municipal budget.
Yeah, I became aware of the increase in property taxes and quite upset over the whole thing. Because as I did a little bit of research on things, I found in Bergen County, we are ranked number 9 on our property taxes, meaning our property tax number. There are 70 townships in Bergen County. How is it that we are number 9? What are we doing wrong? What are all the other townships doing right that their property taxes are not as high as ours? What type of analysis has happened to say, okay, how are we comparing to these other townships that keep their property taxes lower than what we are? I don't see any better services in the other townships. I don't see better roads in the other townships. What is different? Have those analyses been done? As elected officials, you should be doing those analyses to find out, are we hiring too many people? Where are we spending our money? Because this is ridiculous. How are we number 9 out of 70? That means there are 60 other townships that have lower property taxes than we do, and we're raising ours. They might be raising theirs too, but they're still lower. So where's that analysis? Has it ever been done? Why are we not sticking with what's going on in other townships? Anyway, I hope as elected officials, you all decide to do some type of analysis to straighten this situation out, because I don't understand how we are number 9 when we have high property values and, other townships, pretty much same populations, same challenges, can do it better than us. We need to be doing it better. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Seeing no other hands, this hearing is closed. We'll turn over to the council. Mayor Pro.
Thank you, Mayor. And as always, thank you to all of our residents for coming out tonight. Like I said at our meeting last month, there are multiple reasons why I'm voting against this budget, but I will mention just 3 simple reasons why I'm voting against this budget so that we can keep tonight's agenda moving along. Number 1, this budget is the largest tax increase in Teaneck history. Number 2, this budget is spending way too much money. And number 3, this budget is adding way too much to our municipal debt, which is already far too high. And when you factor in that the school board is raising taxes, the county is raising taxes, and the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities is raising rates, a 7% tax increase is just too high of a burden on our residents, in my humble opinion. But I know that you worked hard on this budget, Mr. Mayor, and so did our staff. So I want to say thank you to all of you for working so hard on this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pagan. Anybody else?
I know the 7% increase is not ideal. We benefit from years of 0% increases. And I think the reality is that now that has caught up with us. We don't have development projects to save us every year. And the reality is we have to continue to improve services in town. We want to have parks that are refreshed. We want to, we have to repave the roads. Like, we need new equipment for our safety departments. Like, that's just the reality of where we are. It is not ideal. And I think, the suggestions that were made by the caller are right. We need to do a better job in terms of how often we look at the budget, have regular budget meetings, look at opportunities for new revenue, look at opportunities for economies of sales, scale and efficiencies, and really comb through the budget efficiently. Again, I'm not happy about a 7% increase, but the reality is that's what we need to do in order to keep the town moving forward.
I think that it is an extreme increase. 7% is not ideal. We all agree that. I recommended in the last meeting that we asked the manager to stand up a monthly grant meeting so that we can search on a monthly basis as opposed to, quarterly or whenever we meet. I also recommended that we start the budget season earlier, like not wait to January, but to start in September. We come back from summer break where we have meetings monthly with the CFO and the manager to uncover budget savings, to discover economies of scale, to look at shared service agreements and so forth. I am of the opinion that I do not want to vote for this unless we as the government of this town make a concerted effort that we are going to do some of these things that are able to address the fact that we're facing some serious numbers next year. So on that note, I'd like to make a motion that we stand up this 3-point recommendation of monthly grant search review meetings. We start our budget season in September after the summer. And that we do that with the CFO and the manager to uncover budget savings and have actual workshops, not just presentations from our department heads. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments on that, Ms. Gunn?
Can we finish discussion on
Sure,
the
sure.
budget
Yeah, yeah.
first? Can we all talk on the budget and then maybe
Well, I think it's important to know that we want to, yes, we don't want to just vote on this without making recommendations to improve upon what we're looking at in the future. That's the only intent of my motion.
I'm more than welcome to. That's fine.
And just one more time for the record, Deputy Mayor, I apologize. What exactly is the motion?
We're being asked to vote on a budget for a 7% increase. Okay, we know we're faced with having done everything we possibly could do to not see such a high increase. I'm basically saying, if we have to do this, let's commit to monthly grant search reviews, starting budget season in September, so that we can ensure that we're starting earlier by having workshops, so we're not waiting into January to start budget season. So
Monthly grant meetings and begin the budget process in September.
in September, exactly.
oh, can we have discussion on that motion?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm very happy to sit down and go through steps to amend the budget process. I just think that doing it in the middle of discussion on this budget and the middle of a roll call on this budget isn't the time. I think it's rushed, and I think there might be more input on that. I understand doing it because it's a painful pill to swallow, this budget, and it might make it easier to swallow, but I think we need to get past this, and then we can regroup. We can have a discussion on this. We can even open it up to the public, but I don't think a motion on these 3 items is enough right now. I think it might make this easier to swallow, but we have to vote on this. We have to get past it, and then we can come up with other steps. But I think that this might be rushed. So I'm going to vote. Doesn't mean that I don't think there are steps we can take, but I don't think this is the time, and these are the only things that can be done. So I'm going to vote no on that.
Okay, respectfully, I disagree. I believe that these are ways in which this is a baseline for us to say to our constituents, that we know we're faced with an increase, but we have some recommendations to address how we're handling things in the future. So I'm kind of leaning toward what my colleague, Councilman Pagan is saying, in that why would we vote for an increase if we're not going to put in place corrective actions that correct what we're doing, or that has recommendations to improve upon what we're doing? For us just to say, let's vote on it and then we'll discuss, how we can remedy things or face things in the future, I think that's somewhat irresponsible on our part.
The roll call, there's no one else. Roll call? On the motion?
Just the motion, right?
Just the motion.
Yeah, there was just a motion, there was a second from Danielle.
Yeah.
Right? Were you gonna say something else?
No, I'm just waiting to vote.
Sorry. Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
No.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Okay, Deputy Mayor Organ, onto the budget conversation.
So I am certainly not happy to raise taxes 6.9%. I worked a 13-hour shift yesterday. I spent today working, my day off working on council items, and tomorrow I'm going back to work for 12 hours. This isn't a hobby for me. My job is not a hobby. I go to work, and a 7% increase hurts me and hurts my family. And so I understand, we're not just council people, we're your neighbors also. So this is not easy for us. This budget was, the increase in this budget was affected by many things, a decrease in state aid, increases in insurance, increase in employee health benefits. So there were things that were beyond our control that had to go up. And TNEC is maybe number 9, if that's so, in property, in taxes, but it's also a high property value town. We're looking at houses that are going on the market now that are selling within a month. Houses on Sussex Road are selling for $1.2 million. Houses in the Northeast are selling for $850,000. The values of our homes are going up now. It's 2025 and everything is expensive. We have a paid fire department in Teaneck. We are taking care of our employees too because their expenses are going up. So there are a lot of variables in this budget, and there are increases in this budget. And I am not happy about the increase. We've tried to keep the taxes low, the percentage low for as long as we can, but unfortunately, this is the year that it went up. We have seen that the stall in development over the past 2 years has had an effect. The additional revenue from permits, the revenue from the rent has slowed in the last few years, and I hope that that will take off again now. I hope that allowing development will help. I do think that politicizing the budget is a big mistake. I think that all of us have to own it. And I think anybody that sends out an email the day of an increase to the entire town, blaming the council for the increase and not owning it, I think that's very sad. And I think everybody should pay attention to that. All of us have the opportunity up here to do everything that we can to keep the budget as low as possible, and blaming other people for voting for it but not contributing to lowering it is very irresponsible, and they don't deserve to be sitting up here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll make my comments brief. In 11 years, we've now, with tonight, increased our taxes by 14%. Virtually no town in Bergen County will show you that math, and that did better. You're absolutely right. 7% is high. 8 years of zero, where 99% of this population love that number. Admittedly, there are 2 people, one in the room, that had a problem with that zero, and I respect that. And I respect his comments tonight as well. But if we increase our taxes 2% every single year, that same 11 would be significantly more than 14%. And that's not even taking into compounding. So unfortunately, every single municipality, likely in the entire country, is seeing an increase. The increase is $325. $325 gets you the police, gets you the fire, gets you the health, gets you the parks, gets you the roads. You're not going to get a better deal than that. But no one has come up and said, not on the dais, not myself, not in the public, and said, this is what I want you to cut. We're not cutting fire. We're not cutting police. We're keeping our services the same. And that is the most important thing to take into consideration. Find out where else in the world for $325, you're going to get that. And I, if I'm correct, are paying the most increase on the council. Lastly, or continuing down the line, looking at our future increases, those numbers, those high numbers are always in the budget. I believe there's $30 million in the capital for the replacement of Teaneck Fire Headquarters. You did not put that there. That's there every single year. Those are placeholders. To sit here and say there will be $100 million in 2 years is outright false. That's not what we do. We push those numbers every single year. The suggestions you mentioned, excellent. We'll gladly work on it, but understand something. We were just awarded significant grants for Argonne Park and for the split handicap replacement. The handicap park, many of our grants are matching grants. $1.1 million in grants. Excellent. Job done. We had our grant. What does that mean? $1.1 million in matching funds that come from our capital budget. Millions of dollars this year is being raised to our capital budget, increasing our debt to match grants that we were given. 50 cents. We spend $1, we're getting $2. Great deal. Oh, you got to spend $1. Sorry. Lastly, to sit here and say that what is Teaneck offering different than 61 other towns is very simple. We have a paid fire department. When you call the fire department in this town, they come, and they come very quickly. And there's one person in this room that can tell you the difference between a volunteer fire department and a paid fire department. And that's myself with 25 years as a volunteer firefighter. So when you call 911 because your house is on fire in the town that I'm a firefighter in, do you know what I'm doing? I'm getting out of bed. I'm putting my sneakers on. I'm getting in my car. I'm driving. I'm picking up a fire department. When you call 911 in Teaneck, you are having a fire truck or a fire engine in that rig within minutes, if not a minute. That costs us about $12 million a year in staff on a budget of 70 million, 170 million, a significant amount of money. Take that off, we'll save ourselves a fortune. Not getting my vote. So when someone wants to approach us in the next few months, come back and tell us, what do you want to see taken off the table from your services? We look forward to continuing the dialogue for the rest of the year. And with that, I'll make the motion to approve the budget as introduced.
Second.
First from the mayor and a second from Deputy Mayor Organ. Councilman Pagan.
No.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Adopted.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, I'd like to authorize the township clerk to read, take a motion to authorize the township clerk to read the 2025 Cedar Lane Special Improvement District budget by title, and they've already asked me for their money. So I'll make that motion to authorize you to read it by title. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call on that, Mr. Clerk.
You, Councilman Pagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Okay, the public hearing on the 2025 Cedar Lane Special Improvement District is now open. Anybody in the audience that'd like to speak to that budget for the Cedar Lane Management Group? Seeing no hands, Mr. Clerk, is there anyone on Zoom as it relates to the hearing for the Cedar Lane Management Group? We do not. The hearing for that is closed. I'd like to make a motion to authorize, make a motion to introduce the 2025 Cedar Lane Special Improvement
Adopt.
District. Adoption, sorry, adoption.
All good.
First by the mayor, second
Second.
by Councilman G.
Thank you
Roll call,
both.
please.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, Mr. CFO, initiate the wire. Thank you.
Adopted.
The meeting is now open to what I hope everyone who's here waiting for, public good and welfare. You have 3 minutes to discuss anything you'd like to start. We'll start with the people in the room and then we'll go to Zoom. With that, Mr. Schwartz. And congratulations on Spaceballs 2027.
May the Schwartz be with you too, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I speak tonight on behalf of the Coalition of Neighborhood Associations. An important part of CNA's mission statement is that we are dedicated to advancing a safe environment for all its residents. We believe that this is an essential aspect of having a good quality of life. Today, we are living in a very difficult national and international climate right now, with violence targeting different groups on the rise. Recently, in response to that violence, a Teaneck councilperson advised one such group in our community in a social media post to, open quote, get armed, close quote. We do not dispute the constitutional right of any citizen, including members of the town council, to post his or her opinion. However, particularly in these contentious times, and with the incendiary potential of social media, we feel it is a responsibility of every member of the town council as leaders to bring down the temperature and advocate for peaceful relations and dialogue in our community. We need to bring people together. And, in our view, such comments by any elected representative do not aid in that endeavor. We believe that our council members, whatever their personal beliefs, should be consciously working to create an atmosphere in town where all citizens feel safe and able to live in peace with their neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Sir?
Good evening. I'm Norman Levin, 33-year resident. I really came to listen. I didn't have an agenda to bring up, but I do want to raise a couple of points if I may. I appreciate the report on the housing units. It's not clear to me, is that 431 new units or it counts the affordable units already available?
We'll address that. We'll address that at the end.
It's a legitimate question. though. I
Absolutely,
mean,
absolutely, we'll address that.
It says 6 sites, but my understanding is the master plan has never been presented or finalized. So while I saw a map that showed the areas where these housing potentially will be, I don't believe the township has had any productive feedback on the selection of those areas. So that seems more arbitrary. Councilmember Organ, I appreciate what you're saying about the other council member posting this only today, but the council didn't post anything. We had no idea about what the debt is. As a matter of fact, Mayor, I believe you said a few moments ago, you turned to the township supervisor and said, what is our budget? Do we know? What is our annual budget? It's not presented to the township. How can we give you any positive feedback when you say, well, what should we cut? I don't know. What are we spending? That just seemed unfair. And if in fact part of the budget has to do with ameliorating existing debt, then perhaps we shouldn't go into more debt. That doesn't seem to be something that the township residents are aware of. I'm concerned about that. One final point before I conclude. I am concerned about the master plan. I hope that will one day actually get presented. I'm fortunate enough to live, when I go up Windsor Road, I can make a right turn over the Sagamore Avenue Bridge. I never have to worry. I notice all the southbound traffic on Windsor Road, to make that left turn, they're backed up a full light. You need a left turn signal for those poor people. I'm happy to make my right turn, but you're doing them a disservice. Thank you.
What was your name, sir?
Norman Levin.
Thank you, Ms. Levin. Mr. Siegel.
Hi, my name is Rich Siegel, 26-year Teaneck homeowner. I don't see my clock. Where? I'm waiting for it. You going to tell me when it's on? Ah, I see it. Okay. I sent everybody here a link to a video about the Nefesh B'Nefesh Aliyah event. I don't know if you all bother to look at things I send or not, but that video had absolute proof positive that West Bank settlement homes were being pushed. Putting it into context, we are 20 months into a horrible genocide in Gaza. There is an increase in the ethnic cleansing in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. Israel has attacked Lebanon, and Israel has just attacked Iran. In that context, this town is still having illegal Israeli real estate events. A year after the Jewish community was served notice that these events are in violation of not less than 22 laws. What does that say? I mean, there's all this complaining about an alleged increase in anti-Semitism. But how can anybody help but notice the kind of entitlement by which the Jewish community here seems to think that they can just violate the law because they want to? That's what's going on, okay? And I also want to say something about what Mr. Schwartz just mentioned, and that is the fact that one of our council members, and I'm not allowed to mention her name, she's not here tonight, posted on social media an instruction for the Jewish community to arm themselves. Can you imagine? I guess she didn't include me because I'm a capo, I'm the self-hating Jew, but I guess everybody else is supposed to arm themselves. What would happen if our African-American council members told that community to arm themselves? Can you imagine the uproar if people said, Black people, go out and arm yourselves? What about the Muslim community? We don't have a Muslim council member, but we used to have a Muslim mayor. What if Mayor Hamiduddin said, Muslim people, arm yourselves? Can you imagine the uproar? Is it okay because our little Miss Queen Esther council member is white and Jewish? Are we somehow less dangerous? I think we're more dangerous. We're committing genocide in Gaza. What does she have to do to be removed from this dais? I think if she took a shit on the dais, she'd be back next month.
Mr. Siegel, why don't you have a seat? We're good with that.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for hearing me out.
Yes. Maxine?
Good evening. Hi, my name is Maxine Angel. I live in Teaneck. I just got back from Cedar Grove in Essex County. My son had a baseball game there, and they have a beautiful baseball facility. You know, we're very into baseball. Really impressive, and it was so nice to see so many people out enjoying. A couple things. All of you council people are duly elected by the public, so I think you all have a right to be up there, having been elected by Teaneck voters. So you're all eligible to be up there serving Teaneck, so thank you. And I came here, it started a couple years ago, actually maybe several years, to talk about cannabis. And so the facility is opening on Alfred. And while I understand that you have a very difficult job on your hands with the budget, I think it's tremendously unfair to say that it is not anywhere near a residential neighborhood. We know we have neighbors living over near Alfred Avenue, and we know that there are 256 units in the Mark building with, I believe, a twin building forthcoming. So that's about 1,000 feet. It's about, so I know it's not within the 250 feet or 50-foot limit for the cannabis. To pretend that nobody lives over there, I just think is completely disingenuous. And I think it unfortunately categorizes a lot of the spirit of this council, which is really unfortunate for the beautiful town that we live in. Tonight, someone from Ridgewood asked me, what's Teaneck like? And I had to take pause. And I said, we're just trying to find our way through. And I think to something that I would have, being against the cannabis being in our neighborhoods, I would have loved to have seen some honesty to say, we realize it's 1,000 feet from homes and we're doing our best to try to protect the children and recovering addicts who are living in this community. We're doing our best to try to protect them. But instead of saying that it doesn't exist, I saw comments on the Facebook post about this, and this was a post by a council member. So again, all of you are elected. You deserve to be up there, and you're all doing your best, I hope, for our town. 7% is a lot. And I really like Mr. Lieben, it's nice to see you. I've never seen you. Welcome. I love the comments, and I just second any transparency for residents to be able to get a snapshot of the budget. That would be very helpful. And you know how to reach me, any questions you might have. And I'm sorry I missed the YAB. I don't mean to conflate this. I'm sorry I missed the YAB presentation, but YAB is such an amazing program. I had originally applied to PPRAB for the Parks and Recreation, and there's just so many opportunities for the children of our town. And have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Angel. Anybody else in the room would like to speak? Sorry, I didn't see that. Mr. Ogerman.
Hello, I'm Paula Rogovan. The Teaneck Peace and Justice Vigil will hold our 1036th consecutive vigil tomorrow, June 18th, at the corner of Teaneck Road and Liberty Road in Teaneck. The vigil was founded in 2005 by Veterans for Peace, Chapter 21, New Jersey, Military Families Speak Out, and other residents. All these years, we have called for an end to wars. We've called for the use of diplomacy. We have called for the government to take care of our veterans. We have called for justice. Some of our members have loved ones and friends who have died in the wars in Vietnam, Korea, Iraq, and Afghanistan, or loved ones who have died by suicide after serving in these wars. Some of our members and their friends and relatives suffer from Agent Orange poisoning, impacts from burn pits, PTSD, as well as other impacts from war. The Teaneck Peace and Justice Vigil members are peaceful. We stand for nonviolence. Our vigil has applied for a permit under Teaneck's new protest ordinance. We asked for a permit until the wars end and justice prevails. And we were granted a one-year permit and told that it can be renewed each year. We were appalled to see that a member of Teaneck Township Council posted this on social media: Jews get armed. While it may be a First Amendment right to call Jews get armed, it is irresponsible and provocative for an elected official to do so. Since that call by the council member, our vigil has faced harassment, which we have reported to the police. The council members' call to Jews to get armed has created a sense of entitlement for some and an atmosphere of fear for others. Now we are seeing reckless calls for violence by federal officials that are leading to tragedies such as the assassination and wounding of elected officials in Minnesota. We call on the council member to apologize publicly for this misguided call. We encourage the people of Teaneck, including elected officials, to promote dialogue, understanding, and peace.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ogerman. Anybody else in the room would like to speak? Mr. Sohn.
Alan Sohn, former council member, Teaneck resident. I want to thank Michael Ash. I want to thank Golda McMillan for the presentation that was made both last night and this evening. Deputy Mayor Belcher and I were the two people in this audience who had the privilege of enduring that same presentation on 2 consecutive nights. It's chock full of information that I think the overwhelming majority of people don't understand, as we were already asked. 431 units with the 15% set aside would require the construction of about 2,850 units. We might well, and we would be eligible, as we learned both tonight and last night, that we can get bonus units that would account for about a quarter of the units, which would mean that we'd be down to a little bit over 2,000 units. That's a substantial number of units. I appreciated seeing the plan, but I was deeply disappointed to not have any meaningful opportunity as a member of the planning board to discuss that, make changes, get input from the public, and incorporate that into the document. Because the document was not made available to us until the day that it was noticed on May 6th, on June 6th. And basically there were 10 days to have that noticed. If we made any changes, it would have required renoticing. And the next 10 days would not allow the possibility of a planning board adopting this document and of the governing body having a chance to endorse it. And I think whether it is the process of coming up with the housing element and fair share plan, or the master plan, or the budget, we really do need to have a more thorough process of working with residents, hearing what they have to say, and understanding what those numbers are. We have a paid fire department, but I will point out that we've had a paid fire department for over 100 years. This is not a new phenomenon. This is not something that's just been added to the budget. Yes, I do recognize that the projections that Mr. Abbasi has made usually err on the high side, but what's in the pipeline is extremely high. Mr. Mayor, you said that the project for the firehouses is a placeholder, and that scares me. And it really should frighten every single member of this community, because those firehouses, especially fire headquarters, is drastically inadequate for a modern professional fire department. We need to do these things, but we really need to sit down and understand that process and say, is this a real budget? Are we really focusing on our needs, or are we implementing our wants? All of this demonstrates, and how this budget was adopted, how the Fair Share Plan was adopted and endorsed, I think are a demonstration of how we really need to change the way we do business. It's a disservice to the public. It's a disservice to those people who show up at meetings. We need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Anybody else in the room like to speak? Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Jenny Im. I'm a business owner as well as a property owner of 1364 Teaneck Road, which is our business Mama Hen House. We're relatively new. We're getting older as the year goes on, which is pretty exciting. Recently, we've been it's been brought to our attention that the planning board has they need to make more affordable housing, as was discussed today, which is great. But our block came up as one of the places that were going to be redeveloped. And I spoke to other business people on our block as well as property owners, and we are against it. I just wanted to let that be reflected on the record. And of course, we need more information as well, which we're interested in getting. But yeah, that's pretty much all I came to say. Thank you.
What
Thank
is
you
your
very
name?
much.
What is your name? What is your? I'm sorry.
Jenny M.
Oh.
JENNYIM.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room like to speak?
Yes. Ellsworth James, 215 Voice Street, Teaneck, for many. Ellsworth James, 215 Voice Street, Teaneck. I heard the term used this evening, affordable housing planning. What does that mean? Teaneck does not have an housing authority as far as I understand. And yet it seems that something has gone into plan to put a new wording to represent housing authority, and yet it's privately owned, maybe privately owned. And I cannot understand if a building is half owned by the township and half owned privately, it's still a problem, because yet it's not affordable to the many retirees who will be able to rent some of these buildings. Now, the revitalization of Teaneck Road a few years ago is still incomplete. Yet I understand that there is something at this planning stage to gentrify, as a junglified, a part of Teaneck Road, which is not right. We're able to stop this many years ago, and suddenly it's coming up again. And many of the folks who I've spoken to, they are opposing gentrified the area between Orchard and West Inglewood. And I think the community doesn't know anything about it, and yet we are moving fast ahead as part of the planning that and there's no real input from the community to, since you have revised the master plan of Teaneck. And I would like to ask a question, how many people were there when this revise was done, cross section of Teaneck? How many of us were there? And I would like for this to be revised again, and have the community as a part of the meeting to have their input on what they would like to see Teaneck Road would be like, Northeast Teaneck especially. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room would like to speak? Okay, seeing other hands, Mr. Clerk, what do you have on Zoom for us?
I have Lillian Lewis with us.
Okay, Mr.
Good evening, Lillian Lewis, a 42-year resident, and I'm calling regarding the proposal or discussion of the development of 254 unit housing from West Inglewood to Orchard Street. I want some clarification. Is that in planning stage, or is it just a discussion? Please clarify that. I noticed with the town manager, it was not on the listing that she had. So please clarify. Is this something that's under discussion that they're planning? It's from West Inglewood to Orchard Street, and it said no retail. So that means you would take away all the businesses that are on that area at this point and bring in that 254 housing units. So please clarify that, please. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Mr. Clerk?
We have Charles Powers. Charles Powers.
Yes, do you have me?
Oh, we got you.
You have the audio and video?
Just the audio, 3 minutes.
Why is that?
Because it's quicker to get people in if I just permit audio, Chuck. Thank you. 3
Well,
minutes.
we're not that much in a hurry tonight. I'd like to criticize the reporting processes that our attorneys, and I'm speaking here of both redevelopment attorney Ash and township attorney Salmon, about the way in which they have handled everything associated with this next fourth round of action required by the state's affordable housing law. It turns out that ever since March, they have known that we were going to have some sort of document that would amend our master plan and be a document that the council would have to approve, even though they did not know whether they would be successful, as they absolutely were not. They were completely shut out in what the decision was of the arbiter who took a look at this question and rendered a judgment on the 30th of May. None of that process did anybody in the public know anything about. And it turned out that meanwhile, Topology, who for some reason was given the responsibility of developing the report that was going to become part of the master plan, which is the sole responsibility, not of the council or anyone else. It is the sole responsibility of the planning board, but that planner, we now know, had nothing to do with the report that was being evolved, apparently, since the 26th of March, and then led to the decision on the 30th of May that prompted our recent discussion. More than that, no one was told on the planning board last night. I believe I'm the only person who heard the entire thing. None of the planning board was told what you council were told tonight was that the way the 6 projects were chosen was not on the basis of their status and their readiness to be given redevelopment through approvals and development plans through a normal process, but because those developers came forward secretly, apparently, and told the township, somebody in township, not the planning board attorneys, not the planning board planner, that they would like to be included in this latest document. Everything about this document we saw last night was painfully, finally approved by the planning board, with every one of the members who spoke saying, I don't like any part of this process. It's totally broken.
Sorry, Mr. Powers, 3 minutes were up. We have Free Reads Mentoring. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Who is this?
Hi, this is Celine Wong. I didn't realize Free Reads was on
Celine,
there.
what's up? 3 minutes.
Yes, my apologies. I didn't mean for Free Reads to pop up. But hello, everyone. This is Celine Wong, resident of, I believe, 9 years of Teaneck. So first, I want to thank the council for adopting a resolution for celebration of Juneteenth this Thursday. It's a time of remembrance and celebration. And on behalf of the Juneteenth Committee of Teaneck, we are very grateful and we will continue to bring awareness and celebration to our beautiful town. And thank you to Councilwoman G for reading the resolution so beautifully. As mentioned, at 8 a.m. on Thursday, we are meeting at the MLK Monument in Hackensack on the FDU campus. And we're walking down to the enslaved burial grounds on Palmander Walk for a libation ceremony. Then we'll be at the flag raising ceremony at Volte Park at noon, and then at 1 p.m. at the Jubilee at the Rhoda Center. I'm very grateful that this is our 5th year doing this, and many of our town's council have been participants in this, and I'm be happy to see you guys again on Thursday. We have, as you just heard, we have a full day of events, and I'm very happy that Teaneck will be doing this for the entire day. And I'm welcoming everyone in the township to participate in the events. Lastly, the Jubilee that I mentioned, that's at 1 p.m. at the Rhoda Center, we'll be honoring and celebration Teaneck youth. A lot of our Teaneck youth will be participating in reading poetry and singing. And also we're honoring a Teaneck senior who has had a wonderful year of community service, and also honoring our wonderful lifetime Teaneck resident, Dr. Henry Pruitt. So I'm very grateful that the town will be celebrating, and I'm welcoming everyone to celebrate with us this Thursday, Juneteenth. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Celine.
No more hands on Zoom. We'll now close good and welfare. And Mr. Attorney, is there you some comments? Do you want council to comment first, or do you guys want to comment first?
I think Mr. Ash should respond.
Is this on? Okay. So as far as the timeline and process, everyone knew the timeline. It was right in statute when it was first adopted about a year ago. Everyone knew the timeline. Everyone knew the deadlines. Every single step had a pretty short window for compliance, about 60 days for each phase. Our planner worked day and night to compile all the documents required in order to comply. We didn't wait for the final order. The report took weeks to draft, and really the only missing piece of data was what was the final unit count going to be. And when we finally learned that from the court on May 30th, the draft report was prepared for circulation in a final draft on June 2nd. So, we complied with every step in a timely manner. And, our planners have worked diligently for the compliance. And, I know there's been this discussion or this issue raised about, why is topology, is the town planner handling the affordable housing compliance, preparing this report, and not the planning board's planner? And the answer is pretty simple. It's affordable housing compliance, FHA A4 compliance, is a township obligation, not the planning board. And the planning board planner's role is to, review applications that are considered by the board, and provide opinions and guidance to the planning board. But the affordable housing compliance is the township's obligation. So the township's planner has taken the lead role in that compliance, and I think they've done a fantastic job. This issue of the property owners, developers asking to be included in the plan, that's also how the process is supposed to work. And they're better off asking to be included in the plan, satisfying the obligation to provide the units, and not challenging through litigation later if we are short on the units. Each of these property owners sent a letter to the township vis-a-vis the clerk. And these are public documents without any secrecy.
Well, I want to jump in for a second and I want to stress that almost every single municipality in the entire state of New Jersey has been operating under the same time frame, so the same statutory deadlines. Every single time, I shouldn't say every single, because there are a couple municipalities that are exempt from this, but almost every single municipality has been in a frenzy trying to comply with these same obligations. There literally are not enough certified planners in the state of New Jersey to handle all the municipalities that need all of these reports. So our planners have done the absolute best job that they can in this shortened time frame. We have not delayed in any way. We have, we were going, I think, we would say even above and beyond, pleading with the court to give us a decision early on for what do you say, 2 months?
Yeah.
About 2 months, we were pleading with the court to give us a decision so we could get started on even sooner. They wouldn't do it. There's nothing we can do. We can't order the court to issue their order any sooner. And so given that, I would say, I think I just want to push back as strongly as possible that the township was in any way delinquent or dilatory in our work here. We went, I would say, above and beyond, especially our planners, who I don't think it's possible to give enough credit to Topology for the work they did in such a short time frame, knowing that they have many other clients as well, not just TNEC, but they really gave us, I think, the attention that we needed and that we deserve. And so I want to push back on any, I guess, on anything that would imply that they or we did otherwise.
Yeah, and not only that, not only the attention, but and the responsiveness, but also state of the art, cutting edge advice and guidance, because these planners were doing this work for TNEC, but they're also doing it for a number of other municipalities throughout New Jersey, and the planners at Topology, have been the thought leaders on this issue. They've been sought by, not just the municipalities, but, other professionals involved in the actual, program of compliance. And I'm confident that TNEC received the absolute best advice in a very short time frame, full complete compliance. And we feel very confident going into the next phase that, we will not be receiving substantive challenges. And if we do, they will be quickly addressed.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I absolutely fully agree. They did a great job. But we also know had they not done that job, had they slowed down, we'd have people here screaming because now we'd be in default and that would have been a far lot worse, the outcome of that. So thank you very much to you, to both of you, and to them as well. Mr. Brown, you're good? Okay. Councilman G, you're good? Deputy Mayor Belcher.
I have a couple of things I'd just like
Please.
to kind of speak about. First off, I think that we, as members of the council, I think all of us are committed to smart development. 431 affordable housing units is substantial. It translates into thousands and thousands of buildable units. That is not sustainable in terms of thinking that we can place them all in one area of town. We have to build, but we have to build smart and with a lot of wisdom. One of the issues that I think that's really troubling to people in the community that have reached out to me regarding the Northeast, regarding discussion of on the subcommittee meeting on zoning, there was not even an agenda item about it. It just kind of happened to come out as a result of attorney who was representing another site, and he happened to mention about this AINR. Now, I asked our attorney to provide details about it because there was some misinformation. What is that misinformation? Is that the boundaries of this AINR is not correct. There are lots of irregularities about it. Okay, some people have mentioned Orchard Street. Orchard Street was never a part of it. Teaneck Road, the Teaneck Road strip between West Englewood and Orchard Street are viable, great retail locations. I mean, I think there's maybe one vacancy right now. So if you were to put that side by side with other areas, you would see that, this is a viable small business retail area. Okay. So I'm really, really concerned that we went from this not being an item on our zoning subcommittee meeting to our town manager announcing that there's a community hearing that's happening in the end of July. And I venture to say that my colleagues haven't even discussed this. So it's so important that we address misinformation. It's so important that we are transparent. It's so important that we do that. So we can't not talk to each other and then expect the community to give us input or to come out. If we have irregularities in something, we need to vet that before we present it to the community. One other thing I want to say is that regarding this document, we began, the reason why the planning board has so many issues with it is because if these 6 sites, we did not know, the planning board was not told that these owners came forward and volunteered to place their sites in this plan. Okay. I've asked my colleagues, had they known this, they didn't even know it. So the point that I'm making is this. We have to be so transparent when we talk about building, when we talk about what's next, when we talk about exactly where we see our town going. One of the things that the planning board did insist upon was taking the ADUs as an item to place in this document so that as laws are evolving and as regulations are changing, that is in the event that the government allows ADUs to be counted toward credit, maybe not today, but maybe 5 years from now or a year from now, that we have this memorialized in this document. So that's why you see that's the only reason why ADUs got into this document. So the point of the matter is that we see this, the planning board did not just see it as a compliance document, they saw it as a vision for our township as it pertains to housing. So I just wanted to say that it's vitally important that we as a body continue to communicate and continue to make sure that when we're talking about sites,
that we're all on the same page. Thank you.
Mr. Levin, the master plan was passed at the beginning of 2025, so it's on the website if you want to take a look at it. The fourth round, we need an additional 214 units affordable, but there are credits for certain units, so it's less than that. If you do the math, this presentation will go up on the website also. If you want to look into it, it'll show you how many. We did start budget discussions in March. We had 4 budget meetings on Thursday nights, maybe 3. And the budget has been on the website, the proposed budget, so you can take a look at that also. For anybody who, there's misinformation out there, one of the 6 sites for affordable was never from West Englewood to Orchard on Teaneck Road. That's not one of the sites. Jenny, I did not recognize you at all. Stop by one day and say hi. But that's not one of the sites at all. So you don't need to worry about that, Ms. Lewis. You don't need to worry about that. Cannabis on Alfred Avenue, there was only one residential building there at the time that Alfred was zoned. And the building next to it, which is now going up as a residential building, was not zoned for cannabis. The developer chose to purchase that building and put residential there, but it was specifically left out of the zoning to leave a buffer between the what could be zoned for cannabis and residential. He chose to purchase that and put residential there. But anybody who walks down Alfred will see with the curve in the road down there how far it actually is from any residence. When you stand in front of that building, I urge everybody to go down to 455. You'll see it's completely isolated. It's an industrial. It's not near any home. And for Celine, I took the day off. I really enjoy the silent walk. It's, I think, maybe going to be my, I don't know, 4th or 5th year attending, but I really enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Make my comments brief, and thank you for addressing Mr. Levin's comments about our budget, which was up on the website. I look forward to you coming to more meetings. So welcome to the Township Council meetings. Maxine, Ms. Angel, I'll fill it in for you. You weren't sure what to address the person from Ridgewood when they asked you about Teaneck, but you went on to say that you talk about the YAB and that Teaneck has so many opportunities for children. So next time someone asks you about Teaneck and how's it going in Teaneck, please feel free to mention all the opportunities that we offer to these children. And thank you very much for your participation with them on YAB. Jenny, was addressed that 1364 Teaneck Road is not part of the affordable housing sites that were mentioned at all. That'll also be up on the website, Mr. Clerk. Will we have the report up on the website, the topology report? It'll be up on the website. You can always verify that was not one of them. As it relates to the sites that were also addressed, they were addressed in council on May 20th, 2025. These sites were also brought to the council's closed session meeting, and I believe Topology and Mr. Ashe, you presented the unit counts and whatnot to the council, and I believe the minutes accurately reflect that. Lastly, if we can please look into the AINR comment, if Deputy Mayor Belcher is correct, then we need to address that. I believe, Mr. Clerk, you may have pulled that out, and that was about the West Englewood Avenue to Orchard Street AINR. If we can please verify if indeed it was properly done as it relates to the area, the location, the feet from West Englewood, the feet from Orchard, and if we can verify that. The purpose and the only plan, there's no plan of 254 units anywhere. That's referring to a building on Alfred Avenue several miles away. There is no plan for anything on Teaneck Road between Orchard and West Englewood. The sole purpose of the July 30th meeting is to do exactly what's been requested, and that is a community meeting to discuss and to hear what residents want or don't want. And don't want is very important. But that's the only purpose. There is no other plan. It's not an affordable housing component. We'll verify if it's in the AINR. The purpose of this meeting is what people have requested, to come out, to listen, to talk. If we don't have these meetings, we can't hear. And that's the goal mentioned on July 30th. And more importantly, there will be other meetings. We've had other meetings, and I'm referring to that site. We've had other meetings for other sites, for other areas, for other locations, and we'll do the same thing here. And with that, Mr. Clerk, we'll end good and welfare in our comments, and we'll turn you over for consent agenda and the bills list. So please jump in.
Yes, sir. We have a bit of a thick consent agenda this evening, mostly due to the fact for our annual liquor license renewals. Before we move to the consent agenda, I just want to remind council of that de minimis change that Scott Salmon was alerting us to. Resolution 200-2025. We are changing the name of the individual named in the resolution and to be noticed to Lorne Lieberman at 100 State Street Development LLC, 463 7th Avenue, Suite 1301, New York, New York 10018, with an email address affixed. We are putting that into the resolution with your motion and second and hopeful approval from council on this consent agenda. So with that change and the two raffles, 2 sets of minutes, resolutions 171 to 208-2025, and the bills list in the amount of $10,750,453.33.
Moved Schwartz.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you, Councilman Pagan.
Mr. Clerk, I'm a no on 173. I am abstaining on 198. I am a no on 200 and yes to everything else.
Thank you, sir. Councilman, oh, he dropped off. Deputy, Councilwoman G, I'm sorry.
Yes to all.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes to all.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes to all.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes to all.
Yes, all adopted.
And Mr. Clerk, introduction of ordinances, quite a bit of ordinances on for the next meeting. Many of them relating to handicap parking and to the sale of land. Mr. Clerk, if I'm correct, those are all those small pieces of land in between neighbors' houses that we've been negotiating and you've been running lead on. So that'll help the budget for next year.
Indeed,
Please
get a
go
few
ahead.
dollars. We have ordinance number 23-2025, amending the township code for the township of Teaneck to add a liaison from most to the Fields Advisory Board. We have ordinance number 24-2025, amending section 36-11.2 of chapter 36 of the township code for the township of Teaneck, adding restricted on-street parking for handicap parking at 427 Cumberland Ave. We have ordinance number 25-2025, amending the township code to revise no parking on certain days to include a portion of Englewood Avenue. We have ordinance number 26-2025, amending section 36-11.2 of chapter 36 of the township code, adding restricted on-street parking space for handicap at 102 Fairview. We have ordinance number 27-2025, authorizing the sale of town property known as 151 Intervale Road. Ordinance number 28-2025, authorizing the sale of town property known as 1233 Overlook Avenue. Last but not least, we have ordinance number 29-2025, authorizing the sale of town property known as 254 East Forest Avenue. Those are all the ordinances.
Motion Schwartz for introduction.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Second from Councilwoman G. Councilman Pagan.
Yes to all.
Councilwoman G, I apologize.
Yes to all.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes to all.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes to all.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Yes, we will see them all again on July 15th, our next meeting.
Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
No roll call needed. We're adjourned.
10:24, everyone have a great night.